Hey guys, what's cracking? It is Krakenation here, coming at you guys today with the long-awaited first installment of the competitive Pokemon Master Guide. This has been something that I announced a long time ago. I'm excited to finally start releasing these videos, and hopefully you guys are too. Get back to what this channel is all about, which is competitive Pokemon, analyzing it, improving our skills, improving our knowledge, and getting better as a community. So I hope you guys are as excited about this as I am, and we're going to go ahead and jump into it with our first Pokemon of the series, which is going to be Zeraora. If you guys want to let me know what you guys think about this video, make sure to do so in the comment section below. The format, if you guys want any more information that I haven't included by the end of this, let me know and I'll discuss that afterwards as well. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at Zeraora here. So we have obviously the ability Volt Absorb. Nothing spectacular there. It's a decent ability, good for those electric communities. You know, makes it a good partner for things with electric communities or weaknesses like Corviknight or Toxapex, but nothing too spectacular. Then we also got that pure electric typing. Again, nothing crazy. Let's go ahead and take a look at the stats and the stat breakdown. So right off the bat, you're going to notice that 143 speed. That is a terrific speed stat, and it outspeeds the entire, basically, I'm pretty sure the entire competitive metagame, at least as far as it goes in Pokemon Sword and Shield as it stands today. And it is completely just able to outspeed everything, and that is huge. That does not include obviously Scarfers, but the big one is obviously Dragapult in competitive Pokemon right now. Dragapult is at 142 speed, which makes Zeraora a fantastic counter to Dragapult because it gets moves like Knock Off and Play Rough. Speaking of Knock Off and Play Rough, and notably Plasma Fist, its signature move, 100 base heart electric move, 112 attacks. That is fantastic. That is really good for Pokemon this fast. It's not obviously not like incredibly wall breaky, but for a Pokemon this fast, 112 attacks all you need. 102 special attack makes Volt Switches and Grass Knots nothing to scoff at. Obviously now if we look at this Pokemon's bulk, pretty abysmal. Not going to be taking a lot of hits. If it's a super effective hit, it probably kills it. If it's a neutral hit, it probably it KOs. It only really takes resisted hits at all, but you know, it's a really fast Pokemon, so the goal is that you're killing stuff. It's kind of a great revenge killer, a cleaner. I wouldn't worry about it necessarily needing to take on too many hits. If you're trying to take hits with your Zeraora, you're probably playing it pretty wrong. Taking a look at some strength and weaknesses of Zeraora, I want to talk about first about the fact that it has a terrific speed, like I already talked about. Just outspeeds the entire unboosted metagame, including things like Dragapult, which makes it really, really good right now. It's got potent mixed offenses with some coverage options. That's going to be really, really effective. Like I talked about, it's got things like Play Rough, Knock Off, Grass Knot, but it's also got Close Combat. It's another good move it has access to, not to mention how good Electric Stab can be on its own. So speaking of which, it's got fantastic stab, physical electric signature move in Plasma Fist. Again, that's an 100 base power electric move. It's going to be really potent against a lot of different offensive teams. So you're going to be able to use that in a lot of different scenarios. Next, and then finally, I want to talk about the fact that it is kind of an anti-meta threat. It's got the ability to be fantastic as far as the ability to counter other threats in the metagame. So when you're looking at things like Dragapult, which is a A-tier Pokemon, right, or an A viability ranked Pokemon right now in the OU metagame, you're going to be able to beat a lot of Pokemon like that with moves like Knock Off or Play Rough. It also can outspeed things at some things at even +1. And the fact that it gets Close Combat Grass Knot means you can adjust to beat things like Corviknight or Clefable. All these Pokemon that are really, really potent right now are running rampant. Toxapex, Ferrothorn. I might have already said Seismitoad, but these Pokemon are all running rampant right now, and Zeraora is customizable so to become anti-meta in the way you need it to be. But there are obviously some weaknesses, and the first one I want to talk about is it's got kind of limited versatility. Now it does have different attacks that it can run, but it can't really run too many different like sets per se. So you can tailor some sets to beat certain Pokemon, but you can't really tailor your move pool. You can't really tailor your set as a whole. Only maybe one or two move slots. You're always going to run Volt Switch. You're always going to, or maybe you're always going to run Plasma Fist, stuff like that. So it can struggle to break down some ground types. Is the next thing that I want to talk about, because again, if it has to click Grass Knot all the time and you have to click Run Grass Knot, you might be kind of sacrificing something else. So a lot of people opt to not run Grass Knot. So you're going to have to decide And then if you don't run Grass Knot, those ground types are going to be an issue for you. It's got limited max power output. Like I said, it's not a wall breaker. 112 attack stats, a little underwhelming if you're looking for wall breaking, but it is good enough for it to be a good cleaner. Finally, it's got poor bulk, and that leaves it vulnerable to the fastest Scarfers and powerful priority moves. So Pokemon like, for example, Shadow Sneak from Aegislash, especially a short Swords Dancing Aegislash, you can't really rely on Knockoff to beat Aegislash, or like Conkeldurr can click Mach Punch, especially if its Guts boosted. Or powerful Scarfers like Scarf Dragapult, for example. These can be all Pokemon that are potentially very problematic for Zeraora, as it's relying on its speed to not take hits primarily in the metagame. So, you're going to want to keep that in mind when you're building around Zeraora. The first set I want to talk about today with you guys is an all-out attacker set with the item Life Orb we're going to run for this set. There are also other options. You could run something like I think the Smogon standard decks right now suggests Metronome. I think Life Orb is probably the best option. You obviously could also go Leftovers, maybe an Expert Belt, maybe a Zap Plate, something like that, but I would probably go Life Orb. For ability, obviously Volt Absorb. You can pick Jolly or Hasty based on the moves you run, and then 252 attack, 252 speed. And if you end up running a special attack, you can put 4 in special attack. You can put those last 4 EVs wherever you'd like. Looking at moves, we've got Plasma Fist, Close Combat, Play Rough or Knockoff, Grass Knot or Knockoff. So I think Plasma Fists and Knockoff are pretty much going to be staple on any kind of all-out attacking Zeraora set. If you wanted to try to fit Volt Switch in this set, it's kind of difficult, and you're going to forego coverage on probably something very, very important in the metagame, unfortunately. And then Play Rough is kind of nice because otherwise Kamo has a really good chance of completely shutting you down. So Play Rough is nice because it hits Kamo while also letting you hit things like Dragapult without running Knockoff. So if you run Grass Knot, you have to pick between Play Rough and Knockoff. I'd probably go Play Rough. But in a world where you can run Knockoff, you don't need to run Play Rough. It's kind of depending on what you want to hit. Basically, like if you're hitting Kamo with Play Rough, you don't need to run Knockoff because you got that for Dragapult already. So you can afford to run Grass Knot. So the best set might be Plasma Fist, Close Combat, Play Rough, Grass Knot might be the straight up best set objectively. Although Knockoff is going to be really useful for some other sets, especially if you want to be able to whittle down checks like Clefable for your other teammates. Knockoff is a move you need to consider, which is why I put it as the move of choice to swap into for best. But as a pure Zeraora set with no regard for what the team around it is constructed of, I'd probably go Plasma Fist, Close Combat, Play Rough, and Grass Knot. Just keep that in mind. The next set here is a little more niche, but we've got a bulk up attacker set. Basically everything's the exact same, and you're going to run a Leftovers for your item this time around so that you can get some sustain as you're boosting up with bulk up. Speaking of that, let's look at the 4 attacks, and obviously we've still got Play Rough, Knockoff as the decision of choice. We're not running Grass Knot this time, so I guess you could just strictly run a Jolly Nature, to be totally honest with you. But Plasma Fist, Close Combat is going to be your go-to moves. Bulk up will give you some bulk and allow you to hit a little bit harder and hopefully take a physical attack or two along the way. So we're going to run Leftovers because you are going to be staying in for a while, and we don't want to kill all our own health along the way, especially when you're this frail. Finally, Play Rough, Knockoff, that choice is always going to be there. Knockoff might be more generally useful. Play Rough specifically niche for things like Kamo, but also let you hit Dragapult. So that's going to be more up to you again. So I keep that in mind. So I want to wrap this up by talking about team options and counters, what you can do to build around your Zeraora, and what you can do to play against opposing Zeraoras. So first, I want to talk about the fact that it is relatively self-sufficient, so it fits into a wide variety of teams thanks to this unique niche that it occupies, and that's that it is a physical electric type. It's so absurdly fast, it's just ridiculously fast in today's metagame with all the base 150s like Mega Zam and Mega Aerodactyl gone. It just basically runs rampant at its speed tier, and that makes it check things like Dragapult that are so unique, but also the fact that it's a physical electric type is very, very unique because it's a physical electric type that beats Toxapexes that run special defense, or Corviknights that run special defense, which is very common right now. It also appreciates partners that beat ground type more reliably, especially if you're not running Grass Knot. So if you can find a partner that beats something like that, I think the one that comes to mind for me the most right now is Kyurem. Kyurem's a really, really big one because Kyurem can run Ice Beam for Hippowdon or just Freeze Dry for Seismitoad or for both, and just do massive damage to both of those. So that's definitely something I want you guys to think about. It also appreciates partners that check Rotom Heat. That's going to be things like Seismitoad probably is the one that comes to mind for me the most. Seismitoad's a really good partner for Zeraora because Rotom Heat is basically like completely the wall to... Rotom Heat's completely the wall to Zeraora, so you're going to need to keep that in mind as you're building around it. A partner that can hit Rotom Heat really well is going to be a really, really good partner for you. So slow pivots that can bring it in for free are really nice. That's things like Clefable and like Teleport. Clefable comes to mind as a Pokemon that can be a slow pivot that works really well because it can check some of those ground types like Seismitoad and Hippowdon. That's pretty nice. Another Pokemon is Corviknight. Now that's a really good slow pivot option, and especially because Corviknight can U-turn out of Electric type maybe, or you can switch out and then bring in Zeraora as a Volt Absorber. That could be really potentially niche and really helpful for a battle. Now the other thing I want to talk about though is that if you do pair it with the Corviknight, obviously you're not beating those Rotom Heats of the world, and Clefable that goes for it too. So you're gonna need to make sure you bring Pokemon in that situation to beat Rotom Heat. That's going to be the most important priority for you when building around that. Partners that need Corviknight dealt with are really nice. Corviknight is, I think, either number 1 or number 2 in the meta usage right now as just a really good blanket check. So when you're using Zeraora, if you can find a partner that needs Corviknight dealt with, that would be really, really awesome for it. So Pokemon that come to mind for me are things like Clefable, especially if Clefable's not running Flamethrower. Zeraora is a fantastic partner there. Also, Excadrill loves if you remove Corviknight first. So if you are running Excadrill, Zeraora is definitely a consideration you should think about as the next option on your team. Looking at things that counter Zeraora, we kind of just went over a lot of them already. But powerful ground types that are not, when your Zeraora is not running Grass Knot, could be a problem. So Seismitoad, Hippowdon are your most notable examples. Any sufficiently physically defensive Pokemon that isn't weak to Electric is going to be pretty problematic for you. That's things like maybe defensive Rotom Heat or defensive Clefable can really take on Zeraora pretty darn well if it's not running Bulk Up, especially Clefable. So you're going to need to keep that in mind, that you might need some physical wall breaking prowess. Teammates like Mamoswine could be really good for that reason. Rotom Heat is perhaps the best check in the metagame, is the final thing I feel that need to stress. I said that earlier, but when you're building around this, a partner like Seismitoad could be invaluable to your Zeraora because it really, really is going to struggle beating Rotom Heats out there. And just generally, those kind of electric resistant Pokemon are going to be really problematic for it. Grass types, bulky grass types are another really big problem that I didn't mention here, but I think you should keep in mind. So as more and more bulky grass types are released into the game, you're going to need to be careful about those. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm excited to bring you guys the Master Guide, and let me know what you guys think about the format. If there's any more information you guys want me to include about these Pokemon in the future, I'm more than happy to do that. And I'm hoping to start releasing some more of these videos as well. So let me know what you guys think, and until next time, I will see you guys later.